Hello, and welcome to the first Parents Be Prepared Think 11 Plus webinar. This is actually a second go at this webinar. The first live webinar was not recorded to provide parents with a safe space. So let's talk about what we want to achieve. We're just setting up this new initiative with the help of parents and some tutors to make life easier, more organized for parents going through this journey. So we want to provide some support for your children, but mainly for the parents searching for it. Okay, so initially, this video will not provide you with any exam hacks or any guaranteed score improvements. Will not provide any test information or individual consortium or exam body information. For that, we would advise you to go directly to their website and obtain the first-hand information yourself. However, we will provide you reassurance. We've worked on some research. The guidance we've developed is based on publications in the past 10-15 years. And we could discuss some strategies and maybe answer a few questions. If you are here for 2026 exam, you might still benefit, but the webinar was primarily focused on parents who are reaching this end peak of anxiety levels with 1 or 2 weeks to go, what to do now and what to do afterwards. So if your child is planning to take the exam later, maybe you can bookmark it, maybe you could go through anyway, so there's something for your benefit as well. Okay. Let's talk about the three roles we've got in this journey. One is the most important, student, where the encouragement matters a lot to the students, and the anxiety is a killer of performance that sometimes through parents it can translate into children. Let's see how we can manage that. The second role is of our parents, which you are here for, and obviously an emotional tone, a kind tone, which is devoid of any anxiety yourself, even though it's all inside you. It makes a lot of difference, be it the routine, be it teaching, be it, exam taking the questions for mock exams and so on. So your calmness will translate into your child's performance right away. How do we do that? Let's discuss slightly later. But third role is of a tutor. In many cases, well, most cases, we would have engaged with a tutor either as a group class or individually, online or offline, various ways you could access tutors for 11 plus. Um, Obviously, we will see how a short and structured practice is more effective and where the tutors will actually help. The role of tutor is not negligible. It is there, but getting access to the right tutor and the right mode of tuition is very important. So one of the biggest concern at this point, let's say we are 1 or 2 weeks before the exam, is that there are performance dips in the mock exam, or your child is suffering with lower scores than before. So this is quite common, and it is normal as well. So it happens quite in many children. It happens not for everyone, but it is normal. It is expected. Children have variation in their performances. There are so many other factors, including the type of test. Maybe it is a difficult one. Maybe the child is tired, it's overworked. The child is overworked, and that leads to lower performance. So we have gone through a long phase of the summer holidays, about 2 months or so, that you've invested heavily on preparing your child, rigorously long days, giving up so much of their desired fun activities and your activities as well has gone into this. So there is a burnout, which is real. The burnout in children is much more visible than you could do it. You can mask it in adults a little bit, whereas in children, their feelings are natural, unmasked, raw. So you have to have the different roles in mind. Their role is to do the performance, your role is to nurture them. So what we don't want to do is to translate that anxiety that you definitely have. You have heavily invested your time, your money, your efforts, maybe your piece of household sometimes, between the parents. God knows what goes on there. So something very valuable to you. We have put in a lot of effort. And at this time, we want the child's performance to go up and up towards at least the well-known averages, um, in highly quotation marks. But you want the performance to go up, and there comes a little dip and another little dip, a couple of marks where the performance has gone down. And all of a sudden, that anxiety comes to surface to the parents and then translate into the child. One of the common things I say to parents is that do not worry about individual tests. So if the performance is going down in a variety of different tests, which means variety of different levels of difficulty, there still could be an explanation in terms of burnout, but then maybe there is a cause of concern. We need to change your technique. Maybe they are missing something. In that case, there are alternate ways. But at this point, you've reached, school is restarted, first week of September, and this is a blessing in disguise in a way. So we'll see how that improves the possibility of a better performance. Okay. So in children, we normally need encouragement instead of pressure. There needs to be a balance between it. So in many cases, and obviously you would know your child better than any pundit or expert on Facebook, YouTube, like me, uh, or your tutor, etc. So a parent is in the best role, best position to judge what sort of pressure they can apply on a child to nurture them, to get the best out of them, as well as where that pressure needs to stop, and um, you need to do some encouragement, some other types of nourishment so that they still are able to improve their performance even more. So in that way, you could praise the effort that they put in instead of just focusing on scores. Um, and definitely do not compare with others, not with siblings. They were easier or they're harder. And not to classmates. Don't let your children discuss their exam performance with other children. And that's why I personally do not really like the group class concept where everybody's naturally comparing with each other. So avoid that. Also avoid sharing too many problems with all parents. I know you could have some trusted parents who are experts or who are slightly better at, having a broader picture of this journey that you're going through. Um, but do not just share with everybody. Your Facebook comments, for example, can sometimes be read. I know some children are still on Facebook, or they could see behind your shoulder, they could see your post of filled with anxiety, asking groups on WhatsApp for help, and that translate adversely to your child. And please I would advise you to avoid expressing that in any public forum. Try to discuss in a very close group or with your partner, with a teacher, tutor, um, but not publicly. It's just a matter of few couple of weeks that you can withhold it, and then it'll be all over. So sharing definitely, this sort of sharing definitely has a risk of adversely affecting the performance. With improving performance, you can include breaks in continuous study sessions. And now we know that the actual exam could be around 2 hours with a break, with a gap. So there'd be two exams, usually in GL, with about 50 minutes each. And so that is quite um, demanding. But what we don't want to do is put the child in the same position all the time. So when they're learning new things or practicing one section, try to do small bursts at this point. As I said, schools have reopened, so you cannot spend the whole day practicing, luckily for you and your child. With a child, they're going to school, they are naturally um, calming themselves socially as well as other activities. So that is a blessing in disguise for you. But I would recommend parents to also um, get themselves busy in work or other things, just relax a bit, go to the gym or something, but don't overthink it. Okay. So as I said, schools reopening provides that structure that a child needs. Without that, for 4 or 6 or 8 weeks of practice in the past, there was not much at times, not much to look forward to within the day. But here, the balance comes back to a child's life. So 1 or 2 weeks back into the school, you wouldn't have to worry too much about the morning routine. The child will be ready to perform usually at about 9 or 9:30, whatever the exam is scheduled for you. They are already awake within their morning routine. So in these days, you should aim normally for around 1 hour, depending on how exhausted they are. 1 hour plus minus, say, half an hour max, I'd say. And your focus should be not to learn new things, but to highlight if there's any deficiencies in skills, you can work on those, or just keep revising everything, small burst, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, single comprehension a day, um, maybe online tests by topic. Okay. Do encourage downtime. Do not utilize all their free time in the afternoons or evenings in just preparation. Do social activities, maybe back to sport or something, to keep their physical and mental health in balance, in check. And so yours is also important. So the mistakes that they're still doing, we still don't want to show it as a failure or a problem with them. We want to make highlighted that this is something that is a tool that allows us to improve. There's still time to improve, so it's never too late. What we want to do is find the best possible approach. What each child or your child, if they've got something that they are struggling with, what will be the best way to maximize their score? It might not go to the perfect score, but remember, in many cases, you don't even know what the child's score was. You only get a pass or you get a standardized score. So you're not going to get a score. You cannot really target a score. Nobody can guarantee, and we will get to that later on in further slides. So you normalize your nerves by giving sign of growth. Um, do not um, penalize them on expressing nervousness. Just calm them down. If something's coming out at this point, it is better than it comes out during the exam. And this is where mock exams that you might have already attempted, I always recommend maybe 2 or 3 mock exams at max. Not too much. They are not usually there to improve the performance. I think my understanding is that the role of a mock exam is to settle your child down. This is the first big test in a test environment that they are usually taking. And to settle their nerves down, something they don't even know about themselves will come out the first test they will take. The tummy aches or the anxiety, the um, need to go to the toilet and so on. So when you use the mock exams, try to utilize them to settle them into the exam environment and not just the performance. So more important to discuss right now in this webinar is to look after yourself. As your audience here will be all parents, we're not talking to children themselves right now, or the tutors themselves as well. So parents, do look after yourself first, because if you are just like in an airplane, you put your mask on. If you are calm and control, your stress is under balance, your child will mirror that. So you protect your own energy levels, make sure you are, if you planned a 1 hour session with your child looking after them, then make sure you are putting that time aside, dedicated. Also, you have the energy level, you're well fed, you have got the mental capacity to work on that 1 hour with full focus. So just have a bigger perspective. If something's bothering you, you're nervous, you're invested elsewhere, try to calm yourself down before starting that work session with your child, because we want to make sure that performance maximization is at the heart of it right now. With a week or two to go, you want to maximize the performance, and anxiety is a killer of performance. It is well researched. Parents' anxiety leads to um, poorer results, lower scores, poorer performance in the exams for the children. And you also have to recognize that the number of applicants is much higher, many a times more. For example, in Trafford consortium, there's around 10,000 applicants with around 1,000 seats, 800 or so seats available, which means around 8 to 10% chance. Well, I would say chance, but uh, yeah, um, 10% of the students will get in their desired grammar school, or one of the 4 or 5 grammar schools that are in the area, which means 90% or more will not. So life goes on. You have to make sure that everything's still in perspective. The effort that you've put in, you have to translate it into your child's learning as well. Um, Make sure they understand, even though 11 plus, you only get one chance, but broader in future in life, there might be a case where they will reuse that skill set that they've gained. Not far from now, maybe in their SATs, in about 4 months or 6 months down the line, they will reutilize it and they will feel that the effort they've put in has definitely benefited them, regardless of the result of the 11 plus exam. And again, focus on the bigger things. Your family life is not completely disrupted upside down. You have to make sure there is a balance. You're not distorting this image of 11 plus for the younger child if you have one, or other people's children, for example, by making it too difficult to go through this experience. In the end, we want our kids to be happy and healthy, and we want the same for ourselves. So make sure you're not pushing them so much that it leads to a scarring, long-term impact on either the children or the observers, the other children that are looking into it, or other parents as well. Okay, so focusing on the last 2 weeks or of 11 plus. Now this comes to the fore when we are talking to parents with 2025 September 11 plus students. Okay, so now you have about last 2 weeks, so you do a little bit of an hour a day practice, do good quality practice, not just you won't be able to drill down any new thing. You could gain some marks by improving techniques, exam techniques. You know, clean desk policy, give them the same equipment that they're going to take to the class, to the exam, sorry. Two pencils, maybe four pencils, reasonably sharpened, a couple of erasers, clear box, nothing else. Water, that's it. Use a water bottle that is maybe a sports cap or spill proof and stick to that. If they want to watch, you have to check with your exam body if watches are allowed. Even some bodies even do not allow analog watches. So do check all this information, not on the Facebook groups, not on WhatsApp, but on the website of the exam board. So don't go into new materials at this point, assuming you've already covered pretty much everything. There wouldn't be any last minute changes. So keep focusing on the weakest points or find out how you maximize the grade, the scores from this point onwards. You know, try if they've not already gotten a good habit of filling in the answer sheets, make sure they are comfortable with those as well. You can download some answer sheets or some sample exams, familiarization exams, and try filling those up as well. So then on the day of the exam, before the exam, there is a lot of work that you'll have to do, but I would highly recommend removing your child from all the other responsibilities than just taking the test itself. So make sure you've got logistics in place, you've got the transport, you've got the food, there's snack, all the paperwork, photo, written the name at the or signed at the back, whatever is it required in the letter. You're going to the right location a week before, check if there are any roadworks, they can pop up at any time. In the worst case scenario, maybe install Uber or check with one of the parents close by to be your backup, and you could be their backup in case one of the transport falls out of place. So all that you can handle it without sharing, I'd suggest, with your child. Just make sure that you inform them that they don't have to worry about any of those things. That will reduce the cognitive burden, cognitive load on the child in the run up on the night and the day, so they could stay calm. With the water, I suggest they're not drinking the water too much because that means they would need a toilet during the exam because it could be cool, the hall could be quite cold, and do layer up and so on. So all the standard suggestions for me. Um, but yeah, what else? Yep, and pencils sharpened, ready. They suggest to take four. They suggest an eraser, take two. You probably don't need a sharpener, but even if you want just a simple basic sharpener, take one. In most cases, well, pretty much in all cases, that will be allowed. Clear pencil case, and that's all you need. Um, so practice with that, just prepare everything in place. Do not add more difficulty so that they are used to the environment that they're going to take the exam in. On the day, you be calm, relax, calm them down, calm the child down. Make sure you are already proud of them for making it to the day and agreeing to take the test, preparing all the preparation. This tells the child that you are not orientated towards the score that they are going to get, but to the effort that they have put in. You value their effort, and you would want to perform their best. So remove all the anxiety of the score, even if you want to have a chat with them that you're not worried about the scores. Just say them, even if inside you are cracking down, just tell them that you're not worried about the scores, whatever that they perform, that's perfectly fine. Uh, Show them the bigger picture if you've had conversations with them. It is one option to get into a grammar school. It is not the only option. And it isn't even a guarantee that you've made it. It is a start of a new journey, and there are plenty other journeys until the end, which is the so bigger perspective. So um, just make sure you put the 11 plus exam in its right level of importance. It's not too important, not more important than overall happiness, and it does not guarantee happiness either. So make sure you are always aware. Calm yourself down, calm your child down. Okay. Have some light conversation, be supportive, don't add any pressure, just calm your, just mellow down everything. Okay, so now they've had their exam. You were waiting outside, or you were gone somewhere and come back, you pick them up. This is the time for ensuring that you're not scarring them, you're not hurting them. So this is very vulnerable position where a child will be, and you don't know what they've done in the exam. They probably don't know either, but they've got a perspective that they've done well or not so well. They ran out of time or not. Um, Either way, plan in your mind either way. What happens if your child is coming up happy and they're delighted, they've done really well? Just celebrate with them, um, enjoy, release your anxiety by being happy yourself. Obviously, at that point, you don't really need to pretend. Um, and do not over discuss, do not discuss too much about the test. If they want to talk about a certain type of that type of questions, this was a lot commonly, yeah, I practiced that one and that came up, so that's something we'll happily agree to discuss. But do not discuss answers with others or other children, other parents, even the tutors probably would not be interested in what the child did if they're probably more interested in the result, which is in a month or so later. If your child comes down mixed emotions or down, do not worry, reassure them, um, and also don't overpromise anything because, as I said, 90% of the children appearing in our local test here would not get the passing mark, which is not saying that they're not good enough. This is not the case. So that's fine. Just play down if you can, or as much as you can, and reassure them. Maybe they would still make it. Who knows? And even if they don't make it, what is the big deal? Did the best. They've learned a lot. They've gained a lot. They've learned a lot of different skills that are going to be valuable later on as well. And that is what you were after anyway. So just make sure that you're not blaming them for anything. You have put in a lot of time, effort, money, energy, relations, um, whatever. But just make sure you don't pass on the anxiety at this time as well. It's not a time to blame. It's a good idea to set something out like after the day we're going to do this, or um, we might allow you to do. Usually, children are expected to be back in the school, but schools are not expecting most of the children to come back, so take them out if you can. This is a big release moment, and so just relax and release the tension that is built and up till now. Either way, it is over. And then later on, after the test as well, before the scores come back, make sure you're not going to replay the test, and whatever the rewards and downtime you promised, maybe extra time of screen or a game card or whatever it is, out going out somewhere. Just continue to carry out with that, regardless of the performance, and then you turn back to the normal activities. Do not go into a post-mortem. Do not discuss with friends. Do not discuss with other parents. Okay. And as a parent, don't remember that the scores come back in about a month's time, and you still have to fill the CAF. Um, and that is usually afterwards, after the end of after you've obtained the results. And in many cases, you would still have to put in the school names in if you've got more than one grammar schools that have offered you position in place, you would still have a decision to make at that time. What is your first priority and what is the second, and so on. So remember, life keeps going on, and just focus on the growth. Make sure you're not worried about the score, even when the score's out a month later, and just make sure you're making them resilient to all this stress. This was their first time they've gone through this. It's not something that you don't want to be prepared about. So the theme of this whole discussion is parents beware, be prepared, not beware, which means prepare your minds. What are you going to react like under those circumstances? Have a think about it. If you are prepared, you will be in a better position. Remember, it is in many cases your first time as well being in such a situation. And that will be probably the next time it will be the same, would be maybe GCSEs. So it wouldn't be very frequent, but so be prepared what you have to think about every situation, how you should react. So make deliberate decisions about how you are going to react and interact with your child. Okay, so that was the end of our discussion, and then we had a few questions that require some discussion as well. So about 6 questions we've got. Try to go through them quickly. So it's a very common question. Mock scores are dipping at the wrong time. And this is, as we discussed, it could be because of fatigue, because of the summer holidays, too much practice, nerves, getting close to the exam. It is common. Do not panic. Do not over drill. Do not try too hard because that is counterintuitive. That does not work. In fact, it makes things worse. Do not blame the child, um, and do not blame yourself either. The performances can go down and recover. And with the child going to getting distracted into the school life again, they will be back to their normal balanced life, and hopefully they will improve their performances. Then somebody's asked about improving comprehension in the last week or last 2 weeks. This is a very short duration, especially for comprehension, because for comprehension, it is a long-term project. So anyone listening, if you're a parent of a year 5 student or year 4 student, that is where it really starts, if not earlier. Reading, being able to read really quickly, that is a key. The speed at which your child reads definitely helps, and then building up vocabulary as you go on. It's easier to do gradually from year 4 or year 5 onwards, reading with a thesaurus or dictionary in hand. Um, and then obviously during the practice, remember to, if you've got the skill set in place, you're able to skim and scan, quickly skim and then go through the questions, and then scan for the answers. That's one way of doing it. There are other ways, but you could find whichever way is suitable. If you've not already decided, probably the best way would be to go into finding what method your child is the most suitable, most comfortable with, or most successful with, managing time as well. So that is it. Vocabulary learning, you could go through those. There's still time. I will be posting a high frequency list on the website, so have a look at that. I will leave a link underneath this video as well. Another question is about the score standardization. Very early, this question, but there is no publicly available formula available at the moment. So the best you can hear would be a tutor or a group saying, well, my child usually got 80% or 75% or 85% their marks, and they got in. But this is no standardized outcome here. There is standardization that takes place on age, which month of the year your child was born, but what is the impact of it? We don't know. None of the schools or the exam authorities publish this. All we know is that there is a difference based on the age of the child, as well as the weights of each section that a child has got. Um, what is the value? We don't get the standard, non-standard or actual score. We just get a standard score in return at the end, or we will not even get that standard score. Now, some school only give a pass just to make sure that that parents are not comparing with other parents. So you will sometimes only get a pass at the end. You wouldn't know what score you got. And that leaves us in a dark space where we are trying to estimate the impact of everything, and we really do not know. Anybody who's saying they know how much impact 2 points, 5 points, etc., being born in August would do to a child's score, they've got nothing to back that suggestion, whatever they've come up with. Catchment area, how that plays, it is still a gray area for me. I've never fully understood. My understanding is there is some involvement of the catchment area or distance from the school that is in standardization as well. That's my understanding. Not based on information, but based on logic. There should be this, otherwise it'll be very hard to find, you know, trim the score to a standard 113, or in traffic, for example, 3232 or 333343, whatever the score is. It's very difficult to standardize it so that anybody above that score has a pass. So there would be some role of the distance from the school as well. Maybe they keep on increasing in, I guess. So in that case, it is very likely that if your if your exam is being used by more than one schools, your child will end up with a slightly different standardized score for each school because their criteria might be different. Weightage in sections, each type of questions might be different. Just every school does their own. And age-based, what are the impacts of age-based standardization? They might be different. So it is very much likely that the scores will be different for each. So you might, if you've got four schools in the consortium, you might end up getting a pass for two of them and not a pass for the other two. What you have to do is when you get a pass for the schools, you use those two schools, for example, within your CAF, and the other schools that you did not get a pass for, you do not use them in the CAF in your top five. Okay, so a question from a year five child parent was, how do you use tutors effectively? Tutors have a role, and you can use tutors in an effective way. You could support your tutor to support your child in a good way. Um, Introduce some structure. So this is one suggestion. You could come up with another method that suits you or your tutor better. My suggestion is always go for, if you can, go for a one-to-one session in person with a child, uh, likely at your place if the tutor is willing to visit, and go with the tutor who's, has tutoring experience. at 11 plus and has some qualification, maybe are a teaching assistant or tutor at a local school. That helps a lot working with children, so they would know how to treat children. This is again an investment you're doing. You might end up paying less for a group class or for a longer group class, but remember, it is the quality that matters and not the quantity of tutoring. And then, so if you end up once, if from year five onwards, once a week, you have a 1 hour class with a tutor, ask that tutor to provide some materials for the rest of the week. So maybe half an hour or 1 hour, whatever you're doing in the rest of the week every day, or 4 days or 5 days a week. And that this talking about year five or year four, year five mainly. Um, so make sure that you've got some structure in place for the tutor. You're not utilizing the tutor's time to sit next to your child and look at them attempt question over after question uh, without and spend time grading those questions. So if you're helping your child during the week, make sure you're doing all the grading sitting next to them, going back to the questions. In many cases, if they've got, say, 20% questions incorrect, say roughly 10% of the time, they will be able to solve them like, themselves. The rest 5% of the time, maybe you could help. And then the rest 5% of the time, you can mark it for the tutor and also suggest if you find out any specific areas that your child is struggling with, just highlight that to the tutor. So make the detective work easier where it's a low productivity work that you don't want the tutor to keep checking, keep marking your child's work when they've got just 1 hour during the week with your child. So make it more productive, and that way you wouldn't need too many hours of tutoring, and that in turn leads to maximizing the results or maximizing the outcome gain from the same number of hours. I do not advise having a tutor who is good at maths uh, but have never taught a child, for example. So having relevant experience is very important. Okay, then there's a question regarding SEND. Um, the support that is available, there is support that is available in pretty much every, they have to have the support available in every exam board and consortium. But you have to ask for it early at the time of filling the registration form for the 11 plus. You have to ask for it. You have to provide evidence as well. So make sure you're well aware and you're not left it for the last moment because this takes a while. So make sure when you've registered a child at the same time, you have ensured that you have agreed um, what provisions your child will be given, and you are practicing with only those. So if you've got breaks available but not extra time, make sure you're using only that, so that on the exam day there is no additional anxiety, no additional problems. Okay. How do we make learning fun? That is a little question. There's various ways, obviously. So I used to do with my child, compete with them. So in many cases, you would probably agree when you're doing questions, especially with visual aspects. Um, Children are quite good at it compared to adults. Their observations in many cases are, depending on experience or expertise of the adults as well, many cases the children would lead the way, so they'd be much quicker in observation. So that is always rewarding, um, and teach them and then ask them to teach you. So that is sometimes very rewarding as well. Mini rewards as well. So if you do this in this much time, then you get to do that additional thing. Now you're talking about year five students as well, maybe year four or year five. So this is where you're kind of building the routine of being able to sit for a while and do some study work. So to put in half an hour at a time, for example, without any disturbances, without any distractions. Um, and that is a good span that they can build up on. At this time of the year, if they're in year five, they will be able to build up on that much more during the summer preceding their exam. And obviously, you can be creative. You can do whatever you like, the way you do it. Find resources online, plenty of work. There's flashcards. There is apps for vocabulary. So endless stuff. Okay, so generally the theme is for the parents. You have to be calm. You have to look at the bigger perspective of 11 plus and life. You want your children to be happier. You want them to do well. This is not a guarantee if they get into a grammar school that they will end up doing well. If they don't end up in a grammar school, it's not a guarantee that they will not do well. So the skills that they've gained, the time and effort and money you've spent will never go to waste. They will be learning new things. This will be the basis for launching them in year seven or year six. Um, and the things that they've learned now will always be very useful for them later on in life. So make sure don't miss out on celebrating the effort they put in. Build that resilience and confidence in them, even though 11 plus is a single attempt that they get. Maybe later on you can do 12 plus, etc., and so on if you still want to. But in life, many things allow you to try again. And if they've got this confidence and are not let down, uh, the desire to try again, see at the positives, it will be a lifelong skill that they will gain. Thank you very much for a very long session. This is our first attempt at providing supporting materials for parents very close to the session, to the exams. Um, Feel free to leave a comment down in the YouTube video. Probably will help us with some sort of algorithm. And also, don't forget if you got any questions, technical, non-technical, maybe related to the exam, any techniques, feel free to send an email to question11plus.com. And on our website, you will see there is an option to send us a WhatsApp message as well. We'll try to respond as quick as possible. And hopefully, you will subscribe and come back with your experiences after the exam as well. And if you're a parent of a child taking exam next year, uh, feel free to stick with us as well and build on this experience the journey that we are doing. Hopefully, we will provide some materials for you later on as well. So thank you for joining again, and good luck and all the very best for your children and for yourselves.